I want the person who actually wins the quarterback competition playing first. I don't really care about the PR side of it.
But hey, Bucky, well-off media, had a lot to say also today. He put out a video, and I want to play a portion of it.
You heard that right. That's Cleveland media. Not a fan account, not a random podcast, a voice on the actual Cleveland airwaves telling you flat out he wants Shedeur Sanders under center. And on the same day, Bucky of Well-Off Media steps in front of a camera and gives you a side of this story nobody's been talking about. Two completely different corners of the media world. Same week, same city, same name coming up. Training camp is 2 weeks out. Let's get into why this week matters more than people think. For a long time, the Cleveland quarterback conversation has been the same tired back and forth. Deshaun Watson is the guy with the contract and the resume. Shedeur Sanders is the guy with the rookie cape and the questions. Every debate gets stuck right there. But something shifted this week, and it came from a place people don't expect it to come from. Local Cleveland radio, 92.3 The Fan, had a guest on named Earl the Pearl, a former receiver coach who spent a season working directly with Shedeur in Tampa Bay before this. And when the host asked him this simple question, who do you want starting, he didn't hedge, he didn't give you the safe answer. He said he wants whoever actually wins the job on the field. No storyline, no PR angle attached to it. Then he went further and told the room exactly why he thinks that's Shedeur. This is the part that matters. This isn't some outsider running his mouth with no context. This is a coach who sat in meeting rooms with the kid, who watched how he prepared, who has actual first-hand knowledge of who Shedeur is away from the cameras. And he's not shy about saying Deshaun Watson, at this stage, coming off 2 Achilles tears, is the bigger question mark of the two. That's not a small thing to say out loud on Cleveland radio. That's Cleveland media publicly leaning toward the rookie over the guy making $230 million fully guaranteed. And it's not like this guy is just picking a side to be interesting. He lays out real football reasoning. He talks about the speed of the NFL game and how hard it is to get that back once you've been away from it, especially at Watson's age and after a second major injury. He's not saying Watson can't play. He's saying the odds are stacked against him catching back up to that speed a second time around. And that repetition, actual game reps, is what builds a young quarterback like Shedeur into whatever he's going to become. That's a coach thinking out loud about development, not a fan picking a favorite. Let's hear exactly how he laid it out.
Earl the Pearl.
I want the person who actually wins the quarterback competition playing first. I don't really care about the PR side of it. I don't care about the storyline. If you ask me right now who I think is going to win that quarterback competition, I do think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I understand he's a younger player. I understand that he doesn't have the years that Deshaun Watson has. Deshaun is a veteran, and at one point he did have success. But I've told you before, and I stand behind it, I'm worried about the mechanics, and I'm worried about the speed of the game. And I find it hard to believe that the second time around with 2 or 3 more injuries and being a little bit older, that Deshaun Watson is going to be able to catch up to the speed of the NFL's game. And it was an issue for him the first time. But when you look on the flip side of that and you bring Shedeur Sanders into this conversation.
Stop for a second. That's not a hot take from a stranger. That's a coach who's coached him. Here's what most people scrolling past this clip are going to miss. Earl the Pearl isn't just talking ability. He spends just as much time talking about who Shedeur actually is as a person. And that part hits different once you understand where it's coming from. He says Shedeur is straightforward, honest, a straight shooter who tells you how it is, whether you like the answer or not. And from a coaching standpoint, he says that matters more than people realize, because it means there's no politics, no games, nothing hidden. You know exactly where you stand with him. He talks about Shedeur's faith, his family, how he takes care of the people close to him, and he ties all of that back into how it shows up on the field, prepared, businesslike, a proven winner wherever he's been, whether that's being an offensive coordinator at Georgia or with the Ravens. And then he pivots into praising the new head coach, Todd Monken, saying Monken gets the most out of his players, finds ways to put playmakers in position, uses multiple tight ends and multiple backs to spread the ball around. That's not a coincidence that this praise for Shedeur and this praise for Monken are landing in the same breath. The suggestion here is that for the first time, the coaching staff and the personality of the roster might actually be lining up with what Shedeur does best. That's the kind of alignment Cleveland hasn't had at this position in a long time. And it's a Cleveland voice saying it, not an outside analyst with no ties to the building. Remember, this is a first-year head coach for Todd Monken too. He's got his own motivation here. He wants to show the other 31 teams he should have been a head coach a long time ago, and the fastest way to do that is by getting the most out of whoever's throwing the ball. If Earl the Pearl is right that Monken's system is built to get playmakers the ball, no matter who's lined up, then the fit between that system and a quarterback who's already shown he can extend plays and make things happen under pressure starts to look less like a rookie project and more like a plan coming together in real time.
And he's real. He's straightforward. He's honest. He's a guy that's a straight shooter. And I think y'all seen that in the media. Like he just tells it how it is. He don't care how you like it, how you gonna take it. That's just who he is. He stands on his business. And for a player, that means a lot because now I can trust him. Now I know whether I like what he says or not, that's going to be 100% real. And I don't got to worry about politics or games being played. He's going to keep it real with me from jump. So as a man, I know he loves the Lord. He's a family man, loves his wife and his kids. Does an awesome job taking care of his buddies and his friends that's close to him and near and dear to his heart. But he's special, man. He's always got a special place with me. I was with him for one season in Tampa Bay, and he's the real deal. One of the best receiver coaches I've ever had. Not just the X's and O's part, but just simply who he is as a man. Now, from a coaching standpoint, a lot of that carries over, right? I think a lot of that carries over.
So, if the people who've actually worked with him are saying this, why does the wider Cleveland media keep acting like it's a coin flip? This is where the frustration comes in, and it's fair. Because while Earl the Pearl is out here giving Shedeur his flowers, a lot of the bigger Cleveland media outlets still haven't caught up. Think about what Shedeur actually walked into last year. No first-team reps in training camp, named the backup quarterback behind a room that got hit with trade after trade, then thrown in cold after injuries and trades cleared out the room in front of him, and he still won 3 games under those conditions. That should be getting applauded. Instead, it's been treated like an afterthought, like the whole season was a footnote instead of a young quarterback surviving conditions most rookies never have to face. And now, heading into this season, the excuses are running out one by one. He's got a rebuilt offensive line in front of him. He's got a general manager in Andrew Berry who's gone out and rebuilt the receiver room with Jerry Jeudy, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston, and Isaiah Bond. He's got a returning tight end room led by Harold Fannin and a healthier Quinshawn Judkins in the backfield after last year took a toll on him too. He's got a first-year head coach in Todd Monken who has every incentive in the world to prove he should have gotten a head coaching job years before now. Every single piece of context that made last year hard has been addressed in some way. So the question a lot of people are asking right now is simple. If the surrounding pieces are finally in place, what exactly is the holdup on giving him the credit that a coach who actually worked with him is already giving him, out loud, on the radio, for anyone in Cleveland to hear?
He was named a backup quarterback. That's why I can't understand why the Cleveland media can't see through that. Everything that Shedeur Sanders went through, and still somehow won 3 games out of the 7 games that he started with the condition that he was going up against. They should be applauding Shedeur Sanders. They should want to see more of Shedeur Sanders with a new offensive line, with better wide receivers who can help in the passing game with Jerry Jeudy, Casey Concepcion, and Denzel Boston, along with Isaiah Bond, and then you got the tight end coming back with Harold Fannin. You still got Quinshawn Judkins, who's coming back more healthy than he was last year. So why wouldn't you want to see Shedeur Sanders as the starting quarterback this year in 2026? After everything that the general manager, Andrew Berry, has done to make the offensive side better than it was last year. They got a new head coach who's a former offensive coordinator who's going to be calling the plays in Todd Monken. Only thing I'm trying to tell you, they should be applauding and wanting to see more from Shedeur Sanders.
Here's the reality check. None of that is manufactured hype. Those are real roster additions, and that's a real coach on a real radio saying what he saw in the building. Now, here's the part of this week that surprised people, because it didn't come from football media at all. Bucky of Well Off Media put out a video, and it wasn't about a quarterback competition or a depth chart. It was personal. He was talking about his mother's newly released book, and about faith carrying his family through real loss, losing a brother, losing a sister, holding on to belief through all of it. He talked about how his mother lived that faith out loud instead of just talking about it on Sundays, and how that shaped him growing up. How he was taught not to question why things happen the way they do, just to keep trusting through it. It's a completely different tone than anything you'd hear on a sports radio segment, and that's exactly the point. When a voice with real reach in these circles steps away from the football debate for a moment and puts that kind of personal story in front of people, it says something about the wider orbit around this story right now. There's a genuine human side to all of this that usually gets buried under headlines about quarterback battles and contract numbers. Bucky asked people to go support his mother's book on Amazon, and it's worth remembering that behind every one of these football conversations, there are real families, real faith, and real stories that don't make the highlight reel. That context matters heading into a season where one young quarterback is about to be under a microscope like never before. And it's a reminder that the people talking about him, from radio hosts to independent media voices, all bring their own lives and their own stories into how they show up on camera every single day.
Now I want you to listen to Bucky or what he had to say. Bucky of Well Off.
You know, I get my love and my great heart from the reason I look out for everybody, this and that. So yeah, that's why a personal pursuit. This book means a lot to me. Not just because it's my mom, it's because it's something she actually lives. She actually lived and is still currently living. It's not just, oh, I go to church on Sundays.
Think about that for a second before you go back to arguing about depth charts. So let's put the whole week together. You've got a former receiver coach who actually worked with Shedeur going on Cleveland radio and saying without hesitation that he wants him under center and breaking down exactly why the mechanics and speed of Watson's game concern him at this stage. You've got that same voice tying Shedeur's character directly into why coaches trust him and tying that trust straight into how the new coaching staff is built to use him. You've got a roster that's been rebuilt around him with real additions at receiver, tight end, and running back, the kind of build-out that usually only happens when a front office is committed to giving a young quarterback every chance to succeed. And in the middle of all that, you've got Bucky of Well Off Media reminding everyone that there are real people and real stories attached to everything happening in this building, that not every headline this week had to be about a depth chart to matter. Training camp opens in 2 weeks. Whatever happens after that is going to get decided on the field, not on a podcast or a radio segment, and that's exactly how it should be. But this week gave Cleveland fans 2 things they haven't had in a while. A coach with real ties to Shedeur publicly backing him on the record in his own city on the airwaves people actually listen to on their commute, and a reminder that there's more to this story than just a quarterback battle, that the people orbiting around this whole situation have their own lives, their own faith, and their own reasons for showing up the way they do. So here's the real question heading into camp. Is this the week Cleveland media finally starts catching up to what the people who actually worked with Shedeur have been saying all along? Or does the bigger media conversation stay stuck exactly where it's been? Drop your answer in the comments. Do you think Shedeur wins this job clean, or does Cleveland media keep dragging its feet until the games force their hand? Smash like and subscribe.